The Mk VII Tetrarch tank was developed in 1938 at the Vickers factories as a modern light tank intended to strengthen the British armoured forces. The prototype vehicle was designated a 17E1. By the end of 1938, production of a series of 120 tanks had begun at the Metropolitan-Cammell factories. With the outbreak of war, the order was increased to meet combat needs. The first tanks rolled off the production line in November 1940, but further production was interrupted after part of the Metropolitan-Cammell factory was destroyed by Luftwaffe air raids, ending at 177 units. Initially, Tetrarch tanks were mainly used for training, as the British Army preferred to employ armoured cars rather than light tanks in reconnaissance units. Attempts to use Tetrarchs in North Africa failed due to issues with the cooling system, which proved inadequate in the hot climate. The first combat deployment of the Mk VII tanks occurred in 1942, when the Red Army employed them in battles in the Caucasus and Crimea as part of the Lend-Lease program. At the end of 1942, a squadron of these tanks was also used during the capture of Madagascar in Operation Ironclad. In 1943, the Mk VII tanks were adapted for airborne operations, specifically to be transported by General Aircraft Hamilcar heavy gliders. One squadron of Tetrarch tanks was used by the 6th Airborne Division during the Normandy landings as part of Operation Overlord. The tanks were used again in March 1945 during the crossing of the Rhine. Tetrarch tanks remained in service with British airborne forces until 1950, when the last glider-borne units were disbanded. Although production was limited, these tanks played an important role in several key wartime operations.